industry. These were identified as being the fleet profile, diversification, operating management, capital structure, financial flexibility, and financial policy of the organizations in the industry. So style refers to uh, the um, sorry these so fleet profile consists of um, what the firm's fleet consists like is made up of, how many vessels, the capacity of the vessels, the quality of the vessels, all age, all of those sorts of things. Um, the diversification of the firm's fleet, as well as the diversification of the firm's activities. These two kind of play hand in hand. They allow for optimal utilization of the firm's assets. You have more than just one type of ship. If you only had one certain size of ship, then you'd be very limited on the distance of trips you could make, the capacity of goods you could carry, all those sorts of things. Having a diversified fleet and a diversify really can help a firm be successful and be competitive against their other firms in the industry. The operating management of the firm is also highly important for success. The If the firm does not have good managers, good leadership, then the organization most likely will not be successful. It's not just about having a good fleet, but it's about having a fleet that's well managed and employees that are well taken care of, well trained, all of those sorts of things. Then the capital structure refers to the firm's like intangible assets, their value, all those sorts of things. The firm needs to have good money standings and good capital backing for its fleet so that they can enter into new endeavors, take advantage of opportunities, things, all those sorts of things. The financial flexibility of the firm is also highly important. This plays into taking advantage of new opportunities, as well as if there was to be some sort of accident, some sort of unexpected thing that occurred, the firm needs to be able to be flexible financially in order to not go into major debt due to some unpredicted circumstances. Um, Also, financial policy is a major thing. The firm's spending, how they manage their assets, all of these sorts of things. How much, how they manage their liquidity, how they manage debt, long-term, short-term debt. The firm needs to have a strong financial policy so that they can ensure that they're not losing money and they know where their money's going um, in order to be successful within the industry. So this next portion, the following slides will all be for the internal analysis portion. That was the external that I just finished off with the key success factors. Now this is going into the internal. The internal starts with an organizational analysis. So this is the organizational analysis for COSCO Shipping Corporation. So this organizational analysis features McKinsey's 7S framework. So the 7S's are style, staff, systems, skills, strategy, structure, and shared values. So the style refers to the leadership style of management. So the firm, China COSCO Shipping, employs upper management. They have a general manager, and then they have a board of directors who is over the general manager, and then it's kind of down from there. Their management and directors are all expected to be strong corporate leaders and expected to act in good faith of the organization and its employees, as well as protect shareholders' interests. This China COSCO Shipping employs 21,609 employees that are all expected to be of top quality. The systems of China COSCO Shipping refers to the procedures that are in place for daily activities of the firm, as well as emergency procedures and things of that nature. China COSCO Shipping, looking at their reports of all the systems they have in place. They have a system or procedure in place for almost everything. They have training for their employees for almost any circumstance that the employees could happen into. If there's a new task that the employees have to be prepared for, the China Costco Shipping comes up with a training procedure so that the employees can be prepared for the new task that's going to be at hand. If there's a hazardous material that they have to transport, anything like that, Costco ensures that their employees have been trained. They have systems in place to make sure that just that happens. And the skills section refers to the skills that the employees possess. So their employees are trained regularly, as I've mentioned before, to encounter for every situation they could encounter. The employees are given proper training and given the know-how to be the most skillful employees possible for Costco. The strategy of the firm is that the corporate strategy of Costco is to strive for sustainability and value. They put a huge emphasis on having a valuable service. So the next portion of the 7S framework was structure. This is how this refers to how the company is structured. So China Costco Shipping employs a modern enterprise organization structure. So this means they start off with they have their shareholders and then a board of directors, their general manager and managers below that, and broken down into units, and everyone has their thing that they're responsible for. The shared values is the final S in this 7S framework. This refers to the values of the firm, employees, and everything like that. So Costco puts a high value on employee rights, safety, training, etc. They also value protecting the environment and maintaining a positive social image. These are some of their main shared values. They have there's so much that the firm just values and places an emphasis on. It's really hard to fit it all in, but these are some of the primary values that the firm has. So next was the resource analysis. So this looked at the resources that China Costco Shipping has. China Costco Shipping has 1,285 vessels in their fleet, or this equates to 102.83 million deadweight tons. They also have vessels that in accumulation, their entire container shipping fleet can take up to 2.96 million 20-foot equivalent units. They operate 56 terminals worldwide. 51 of these are container terminals. Additional fleets that Costco houses are a dry bulk fleet, a tanker fleet, a general and specialized cargo fleet. All of their fleets are among the top in the world. And China Costco's overall fleet is ranked number 1 in the world in deadweight tons. Costco those are their tangible resources. Their intangible resources include a top international brand. Their brand is highly recognized in the industry as well as by consumers. Anyone who could possibly be looking for goods to be shipped, they've built a noteworthy brand. The firm also has specialized technology for their logistics, terminal operations, day-to-day activities. They've got specialized technology for it all that really allow them to capitalize on what they built, and this technology assists in allowing the firm to reach its fullest potential. And then the firm also has a strong human resources department, which is responsible for hiring employees that have good capabilities and really makes the firm capable of beating out their competitors. This plays a major role into what the firm is actually able to do with these tangible and intangible assets. Those resources would mean nothing if they did not have capable employees with the skill set necessary for the firm to be successful. And then this also goes into the in-depth employee training. And Costco has also made a move towards sustainability. They want to do anything and everything they can to be environmentally conscious and sustainable for the long run. So the next portion covers the China Costco's financial analysis. So in the first graph, we look at the growth rates for China Costco, looking from 2014 to 2018. As you can see, prior to 2016, when the merger happened, the growth rates were kind of not the best, around 50% or below. After 2016, when the merger happened, there was a spike in net income and EPS. Then after 2017, there kind of took a turn down. That's, kind of, those things can fluctuate, especially after a merger. It's only been 2 fiscal years, well, 3 now, 2 fiscal years reported since the merger. So these growth rates aren't really the most realistic whenever it comes to predicting the long-term growth of the firm. They have not had time to yet stabilize as a new merged company. They do show promise in their sales. Their sales have increased greatly since 2015 and 2016. Their net income and EPS were both in the negative. So they've definitely made an improvement since then, although in 2018 they did go back into the negative. Then looking at their liquidity leverage, that has their total debt over equity has greatly increased and has continued to increase from 2016 to 2017 as well as 2017 to 2018. The hope would be that they can get their growth rates to level out. They need some time after the merger. That's understandable, and then they can continue to grow their liquidity and avoid debt as much as possible. Then the next graph here looks at the valuation of the company. So the first line looks at their price over earnings. In 2016, it kind of does a little up, like before 2016 it was kind of going up and down, and then after 2016 it's done about the same thing. It dropped real low after the merger and then it's kind of seemed to increase. Their price sales have been on a steady decline since 2016, and their price book value ratio has just kind of been pretty well constant. So the China Costco Shipping financial analysis shows that between 2016 and 2017 there was financial uncertainty after the merger. The full financial analysis went through a lot more, but these are the main key points shown. And since 2017, there's been an overall increase as shown in the liquidity leverage graph. But as I said before, none of this is really reflective of what the firm will do in the long term. It's been 3 fiscal years now since the merger. 2018 data won't be released until for a little while longer, so it's really hard to get a true view of what the firm is going to end up doing in the long run. As shown by the graphs and the results, it's easy to see that they've had an increase. They're better off than they were before the merger. but where they will end up is uncertain. Um, Fluctuations in the market have also affected the firm post-merger. Things such as turmoil in relations between China and the United States have really affected um, the company. It's any sort of fluctuations like that affect demand for goods coming from China are going to affect the firm, being that they are operated out of China. It's kind of hard for, like, that's one of the world's trading super centers, and so politics are going to play a lot into the firm's financials. The So the firm's sales have experienced consistent growth since the merger. That is a good thing. As long as sales are growing, that means that there's hope for the organization, as well, as long as they manage their assets and everything like that, manage their debt. Hope, it shows hope and potential. The price earnings ratio also shows that there was growth after a decline post merger. That can be shown here. After 2016, it dropped down and then increased towards 2018. Hopefully, that growth continues on. Then the next section covered the SWOT analysis. This analysis covers the internal strengths and weaknesses of Costco and the external opportunities and threats affecting Costco from the shipping industry. So the internal strengths for Costco are talent management, wide geographic presence, market leadership position, and strong brand recognition. Costco Shipping has very skilled employees. They're very good at training and finding the right employees to fit their firm. They have a wide geographic presence, owning 56 firms worldwide, and having as large of a fleet as they do. It's very easy for them to gain that strong presence and really hold their own in the market, offering up a multitude of shipping routes and really being there and being able to compete in every sector of the container shipping market. They also have a market leadership position. They're top of the world in deadweight tons, and their container ship fleet is ranked third in the world. They really are in a position to be leaders in the industry. And then they have strong brand recognition. That goes along with being top in the industry. Their firm is highly recognized. They have a good reputation and everything like that. They just need to capitalize on that. So weaknesses of the firm are there's a loyalty among suppliers. So this plays into, like, if they need new ships, things like that, their country relations can potentially affect getting new ships at a good price and things like that. There's also a high cost at replacing existing experts. They have such a good team for them now, but the cost to replace their team, the knowledge, that is almost invaluable in some circumstances. So that can be a major weakness if there's not someone that could take the place if they were to lose one of their main experts of operations. The firm also struggles with niche markets and local monopolies. Some areas, coast to coast shipping, things like that. Or coastal shipping, not coast to coast. Certain countries have certain lines that they prefer to use for operations like that, and for a foreign line to come in and want to do those operations, um, it's it can be a weakness. They can miss out on markets due to um, monopolies within countries. And then there, the firm makes low investments into customer-oriented services. They value their employees very highly, and they strive to give value to their customers. But their firm is essentially oriented around their employees and giving the best value service. It's not necessarily the most customer friendly firm. And then those are the internal strengths and weaknesses. The external section of the SWOT analysis covers the opportunities, which the first opportunity that that China Costco Shipping could take advantage of is that customer preferences are fast changing, and China Costco Shipping has a large capital backing and can afford to meet those customer preferences easier than, say, a small firm in the industry. And having that capital backing also provides a lower cost to launch new products or new services. They can easily enter into other markets compared to smaller firms. This can help squeeze out competition and make sure no small firms turn into big firms and therefore turn into true rivals. Also, increasing government regulations, while that sounds like it would be a threat, it actually can be an opportunity because while China Costco has the capital to be able to make adjustments to their vessels, their crew, whatever necessary to meet government regulations, small firms often do not have that capital necessary, especially when it comes to things like IMO 2020, the sulfur cap, and needing scrubbers or and the low sulfur diesel. That can be a major threat for small firms, but firms such as Costco can take advantage of that and use that to weed out competition and gain a larger market share. Also, the trends of customers have been moving to where customers want higher end products and services. They want good services. They don't care as much. So if it's cheap, they want they want the quality. Also, threats to external threats to Costco are trade relations between the U.S. and China, as mentioned before during the financials, the trade wars and everything like that can really affect China Costco Shipping's business. It can hurt them a lot, and there's not really much they can do to make up that loss of market share if something major was to happen. Competitive pressures can also be a threat. Other firms like Maersk coming in and taking over inch by inch shares of Costco's market share, especially if something like a trade war was to spark up again between the United States and China. Those competitive pressures can make it hard to stay on top, and just having to constantly have that capital backing readily available to be able to compete can be a major stress factor for a firm. Then the shortage of skilled human resources is also a major threat. It's hard to find, like mentioned as a internal weakness, finding new skilled workers to replace pre-existing workers is a major threat to firms, and Costco is not an exception to that. And then the final threat for the external of the SWOT analysis is competitors catching up with product development. Costco has a strong technological segment of their company that has really stepped up to the plate when it comes to these advancements and making sure that their technology of their operations, and every aspect is top notch. And over time, other competitors will catch up in to this technology. Their products and services will eventually catch up over time, or have the potential to. So it is important for Costco to pay attention to this and stay one step ahead and really stay on top of their game when it comes to product development. So the final analysis was the value chain analysis. This covered the primary and secondary activities of China Costco shipping. The primary activities were container shipping, dry bulk shipping, general and specialized cargo shipping, tanker operations, and terminal operations. The secondary activities were logistics, ship repair, shipbuilding, container leasing, offshore engineering. They have a vessel agency, and then there's many more activities as well. The firm is identified as having over 50 subsidiary companies that they are indirectly a part of, and these fall into that. The secondary activities fall into those subsidiaries, as well as many more that just too many to really list. So the final thing I'm going to do is make external and internal recommendations. The external recommendations are generic for firms within the container shipping industry. So the first recommendation is based on the Pestel analysis. I recommended that firms should keep on track with industry changes, technological advances, new laws, regulations, all of that. They need to stay on top of their game and make sure that they're remaining competitive and getting ahead of the game when it comes to any changes in the industry. The second recommendation was based on the 5 forces analysis. Firms should be vigilant regarding their competition. They need to be alert of what moves their other firms in the industry are making, and really try to stay on top of their game, not slack off, not let a competitor squeeze by and get some of their market share. And then, based on the industry analysis, I recommended that firms should position themselves to take care of advantage for opportunities for growth. Being a highly globalized industry, there's always going to be more opportunities for growth. It's just a matter of if the firms will take advantage of those opportunities or not. And that's going to be really key in being competitive and plays a lot into longevity. If you're not growing, then the firm will eventually fade away and become irrelevant. If the firm refuses to grow, then there's not much of a way for it to remain competitive and keep that edge over competition. And then the final recommendation for the external portion was based on the driving forces analysis, and I recommended that firms should focus on sustainability. This plays into longevity of the firm, longevity of the industry, environmental factors, and so much more. If firms are trying to be sustainable rather than just burning through all of their resources as fast as they can, then they will be able to be competitive for a lot longer. So, finally, the internal recommendations for China Costco shipping. The first was based on the 7S framework, and I recommended that Costco should continue on the path that they are currently on. Looking at their reports and everything like that, they seem to have pretty well aligned their strategies with the 7S framework. They want to be the best in systems, skills, structure, staff, all of that. They are really trying to get on top of having those things at being at the best quality possible. So, the second recommendation was based on the firm's resources. I recommended that Costco should be wary of their fleet reaching diseconomies of scale. There's a point where it reaches an equilibrium and they don't need to pass that. The ships can only get so big before they start losing money, and the firm needs to be aware of when their fleet is reaching that point. Sometimes a little bit smaller of a ship is better for money. If you're only filling half your ship to make a journey, then having a big ship is pointless. If you're taking in, if your operations are causing you to lose more money than you're making, then those operations need to be reevaluated. Then the third recommendation was based on the SWOT analysis. I recommended that Costco should regularly internalize their weaknesses and threats in order to hedge them off. They have some strong strengths and they have some good opportunities. They need to capitalize on those as well, but really being alert and aware of their weaknesses and threats will be a major key factor in the organization being successful long term. One of the main things will be that skilled labor and the cost to replace their experts. They have all this technology and everything like that, but they lose their people that are knowledgeable on it and have to start filling those shoes with new employees that just can't keep up, that don't have that drive, that don't share the same values, and are unknowledgeable of the industry and the firm's processes, then the firm could start experiencing turmoil. And the last and final internal recommendation was based on the financial analysis. I recommended that Costco should keep focusing on an increased amount of should focus on keeping an increased amount of immediate assets on hand and keep prices competitive. They need to have assets on hand in case there's any opportunities or turmoil that come up. They're in a very iffy place after the merger. It's not good to start spending a whole bunch of money until the company is stabilized. And then keeping prices competitive. This allows them to gain get their standing right and really hedge off that competition and get a good foundation post-merger. And so that completes my presentation. The next few slides will be my works cited that informed this presentation, as well as my strategic analysis research paper.